Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. My name's Tim Casello and thank you so much for joining. Today, I want to talk about breakthrough and growth. And I don't know if you've ever experienced this, where we find ourselves stuck and we find ourselves stagnant and it seems like there's nowhere to go. It seems like we're trapped. There seems to be a lack of options or opportunity. And this is something I've been confronted with again and again, and I've been able to work through again and again through hard work and perseverance. And I wanted to share some of these fundamentals of growth and how to really break through that stuckness and to get to that next level of our evolution. So if this sounds like something that you're into, stick with me and we'll get into it. So I guess let's start by setting the stage. And when we look at life, it's really mired in turbulence and challenge and peaks and valleys, highs and lows, however you want to look at it. And what we can always assume is that life is always going to be in flux, and we're always going to be moving through resistance. And it's the dynamic, constant change that is the consistent place for us to be present in. And how you look at life is really going to help you sort of set the metaphor of how you want to move through it. Whether you want to think of it as a game or a dream that we're all collectively having together. Having a lens to look at life through is going to help us set the stage for understanding where we are right now and how we can continue to evolve and break through to that next level, depending on where you want to go. So when I think about growth and evolution, a lot of it, immediately what comes to mind is like action and what are we going to do? How are we going to move forward? Like let's keep the train going. But I think what we all need to understand, and just, when we bring awareness and understanding to our current situation, a lot of it is around deprogramming what we think we ought to believe versus really what is true for us. So it's clearing out the cobwebs before we can paint the closet, whatever that metaphor is. You have to take out and understand what is no longer serving you so you can make space to create something new, something beautiful, something that is going to fit you in your new stage and your present moment of evolution moving forward. Growth is a transformation. So let's talk about the fundamentals and how we really break through that next level. So the first area I want to talk about is, I often think about this, from a habit sense, is like this would be like a one-time habit, but something that is going to be very beneficial. And if you can integrate these practices, it's going to hold a lot of value over the long term, is doing something very experiential and very intensive. And so for me, what really got me moving in the world of personal growth was attending a landmark seminar, which was a 2 or 3 day personal growth seminar. And really what something like that gives you, I've done other intensives like Tony Robbins and something called Clear Mind. It gives you a new way to look at life, right? Because if you're stagnant or stuck, you're going to be looking through the same lens and expecting a different result. So when we can look at something a new way, when we can reframe how we're living and reframe what we've gone through, it's going to give us that motivation and sort of high frequency energy that we're going to need to sort of harness to give us that kickstart. Look for something that is interesting to you in the world of evolution or personal growth that can potentially kickstart and give you that initial breakthrough that is just going to set the stage and give you the momentum and motivation to start something new. The next is really around sort of the foundation of our well-being, right? Physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, and ensuring that we have the right practices in place that are going to allow us to build the foundation where we can launch this new version of ourselves into the world, right? If we try to make change without really building the foundation that we're living upon, it could fall short, because a lot of what is going to help us evolve and move is that foundation that we've built. And when we talk about the foundation of our well-being, physically, that's going to be like our body. Do we have a routine of activity or fitness, whatever you want to call it, that's going to build our body and the capacity to support our, physical movement through the world. And one beautiful thing about having like a strong physical or fitness routine is it's actually one of the best things that you can do for, your psychological and, and spiritual life as well, because it strengthens everything. And, all of these different things that I'm going to be talking through, they all dovetail into one another. These are just the ways that we've broken it up. Focus on the physicality, find something you enjoy, even if it's small, going for small walks, right? This is going to really help boost our capacity for evolution from just a foundational standpoint. And along with, fitness in the realm of physicality, we want to make sure that we have a healthy diet that is balanced, high protein, overall healthy, right? Something that I use when I go to the grocery stores is just make sure that we're always shopping on the perimeter of the grocery store and only dip into the aisles for very select items. We want to make sure that we're eating whole, unprocessed foods. If you eat whole, unprocessed foods consistently, and that's not something that you do regularly, if you try that for a week, you're gonna feel astronomically better, right? So we have fitness, food. The next would be sleep. Just make sure we're getting adequate sleep. These three things, if you're not doing them and you feel stuck, it's because you're not doing these three things, right? These three things are absolutely paramount to us in anything that we want to do, whether it's personally or professionally. If you're not sleeping, if you're not moving, and if you're not eating right, you're just not going to be working properly. And, I will, prove me wrong on this. Some tertiary foundational habits that are incredibly beneficial for me: reading, audiobooks, consuming knowledge that is going to put my mind in the right place, journaling. Journaling is a way to keep us really present and to clear out the noise and the dust in our mind. Even journaling can be really hard to start, I found personally, and now I do have a pretty strong practice of journaling. It's something that I try to do, call it every 2 days. And whenever I journal, I'm just like, wow, this feels so good. This is like incredible, and it's fun, and there's a million different ways to do it, but you can just start, just write whatever comes to mind. When we have these positive habits, right, these positive habits are going to accelerate us through the good times into our next stage of evolution, but they're also going to help build resilience when something, potentially really hard or challenging happens in our life, because our body's going to be strong enough to withhold, our mind is going to be strong enough to withhold, because we have these positive practices. So that's number 2, and that's basically the foundations of our physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual well-being, sort of wrapped up into these different habits. The next sort of bucket is really around our attention and our focus. And so a metaphor that I've been using to talk about attention and focus is it's really our personal currency. Think about your investment and focus as, your money. We all have a certain amount of attention and focus that we can disperse throughout the day. Some people have more, some people have less. That's okay. It's not good or bad. Whatever we're going to be investing in is going to grow. So what you put your focus on grows. And if you put your focus on things that are not moving the needle for you or your community or your family or the project that you're working on, whatever it is, if it's just going into a black pit of nothingness, or even worse, putting your focus and attention on something that's going to move you backwards, I don't believe that this deserves our attention. Well, it certainly doesn't deserve our attention, but it's also going to hold us back, and it's also going to deplete our personal allotment of currency for that day. So be really mindful around where you put your attention and focus. And within attention and focus, right, we have to understand, and it's going to be really clear. It's like, what are your bad habits? Whether it's social media or a proclivity for, drinking and drugs, or maybe it's porn usage, whatever that is, everyone's going to have some sort of bad habit that they need to be mindful of, right? So even if you just write a column of like bad habits and just try to bring awareness if you're ever putting your focus on those bad habits, and just understand that This is not moving you forward. This is immediate short-term gratification, and that's going to be in opposition to your desire to move through and evolve to the whatever the next level that you're going to break through into. And it's really that simple, right? It's just bringing awareness to those bad habits and making sure that we're putting our time, attention, and focus on things that are going to light us up, move us forward, whatever that is. The next fundamental of growth that I'm going to be talking through is really around self-awareness and getting to know yourself, right? Do you really know who you are? That's a really good place to start, because if we want to grow and we don't know who we are, we're going to be trying to break through with a lot of baggage. Maybe wherever we're going isn't going to allow that. So we're going to need to understand who we are. And a lot of this can be practiced through mindfulness, journaling, right? This is all dovetailing. Having a good understanding of who we are, whether we, do a SWOT analysis on yourself, like something we used to do in high school or university for whatever, different projects, right? Get to know what are your strengths, what are your areas of opportunity or your weaknesses, and what are the threats, what are those bad habits in our life? Get an understanding of the composition of you. Once we get this understanding, it's going to allow us to get curious about, what's in the way, to give us sort of like a meta understanding of who we are as a person. And then also within Know Thyself is really around mindfulness, and something that we all deal with on a pretty intense basis is going to be this monkey mind, this chattering. And something that I have learned and have faith that this is absolutely what is going on is that the thoughts in our mind are not our own. And let's distinguish that. So I believe that the only way our true voice comes through to ourself is if we talk very slowly and intentionally to ourselves in a positive way. That is going to be our true voice. Or if we write to ourselves, this idea of self-talk, slowly and commensurate with positivity and true understanding, that is going to be our true self. Our true self is never going to be negative or malicious or nasty to us, right? Which I believe a lot of us we are induced with thoughts of self-criticism all the time. So if we can understand that, like that monkey mind, that is actually not us. And if we can listen for it, what it is, right? Is this a positive talk? Is this a negative talk? Those are both not our voices. In a book I'm reading, they talk about it as, there's the parasitic voice and then there's the ally voice, right? The parasitic voice is going to be very self-critical, judgmental of others, showing yourself conditional love, where the ally is going to be in opposition to that. It's going to be more positive, joyful, and unconditional in its love for yourself and others. Both of those are not your voice, but you can sort of choose to listen to them or not. As soon as we can catch ourselves listening to that voice, we just become aware of it and just say like, hey, I'm aware of this voice, and this is going to strengthen our mind, because we're going to understand that all of these negative self-critical voices, however they're coming to us, we can listen to them. We don't have to give them any focus or attention. And the less we give these sort of negative voices focus or attention, they're going to wither away, right? They're going to get smaller. They're going to get less powerful. But that only comes through our presence. And the last area of the fundamentals of growth that I want to talk about is really just understanding what your circle of support is, whether that's your friends, your family, or people that you surround yourself in your life that are going to support you, they're going to challenge you, and they are going to hold you accountable to the best version of yourself that you want to be. Not people that are going to enable you, not your lower tier friends that are just going to let things slide. You want to surround yourself with strong, loving people, and you want to be in communication with these people, right? I know over the past number of years, a lot of us have been struggling with the lack of community. Building community can be as easy as having someone, whether it's a friend, a best friend, a number of friends, maybe it's your family or a sibling, and just be in constant communication, maybe say good morning. Make sure to share and be open with this person, because when times get hard, we need support. we need people to help lift us up and remind us who we are. And also, if we're in a mood of ascension or evolution and we're on our way up, we also want people to be able to, check us and to share in the joy that we're experiencing. This circle of support, right? It's such an important idea. And so many of us, right, we hide. I hide for sure. I hide. This is something I'm really working on. I hide from others, and no one does great things alone. It's really hard to heal by yourself, right? This aspect of community healing. So it's great for, it's great for the tough times. It's great for the good times. Make sure that we have this circle of support. If you look at these 5 different areas that I've discussed, right, you have this like initial sort of Kickstarter boost where that's sort of a fun one. Put ourselves in an immersive experience, like an intensive personal growth or philosophical seminar that's going to give us a new outlook on life, that's going to give us a new perspective and potentially allow us to have a breakthrough. If you haven't done that in a while and you're looking for something to accelerate that next stage, start doing some research. And next is like the foundation of our well-being. Take inventory. How's your fitness? How's your body? How's your food? How's your sleep? Are you doing practices like journaling or reading? Are you being mindful and meditating? If any of these things are off, try to find small periods of the day where we can start, setting a really low bar to start incorporating these beautiful practices into our life, because, it's the small investments in ourselves that are going to build up and, create real positive change as they continue to progress and support us in our life. Attention and focus. Where are you putting your attention and focus? Maybe draw a simple pie graph. Take inventory throughout the day. Is it 50% good, 50% bad? We want to start moving the needle. What can you get rid of in your life? What app can you delete? What restriction can you put on yourself as it comes to something that is just going to, pound you with dopamine so we don't have any motivation to do anything else but that one destructive activity? Take simple inventory. Where are you putting your attention and your focus? Next, know thyself. Are we being mindful? Are we able to start the practice of identifying when that monkey mind is just pop, 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 pop. And once we hear it, can we just be aware of it and just say like, hey, like, that's not actually me. That's the programming from my upbringing, my parents, my school teachers, like all of these different things. And then just say like, just because I'm having that thought doesn't mean it's mine. Some thoughts are helpful. Maybe you want to keep a thought. But if thoughts are negative or critical, we probably don't have any room for them if we want to ascend and we want to, evolve as people and grow. And lastly, lean on people. Connect with people you love. Develop that circle of support, because they're going to support people. People naturally want to help fulfill others' needs, right? Healthy people. And you probably have more than those people than you know in your life. And so if we can stop hiding, if we can get out into the world, ask for support, whatever that is, whatever you need, ask someone to help brainstorm, ask someone for, whatever. They're going to help us through the dark times, and they're going to, support us and lift us higher through the good. Really hope this was helpful. I'd love some feedback. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel if you want to hear more. I'm going to be coming out with more content around the areas of personal growth and philosophy and psychology, things that have helped boost me, lift me up, move me forward, and get me moving in the right direction. So thank you so much for joining. Until next time, peace out.